Yay, 200,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. In today's video, I'm going to answer some frequently asked as well as a couple of controversial cruise questions. I hope that I don't disappoint you with a couple of these answers. And I'm also going to be sharing with you our upcoming cruise. I cannot wait. It's a little bit of a bucket list cruise for us. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if you're new here, this is something that I like to do once in a while. I do these sort of Q&A videos where I answer some really practical cruise questions, and I also answer some personal or even content creator questions. Now, I'm so excited about the cruise that we're going to be doing, so I'll share that with you towards the end of the video. If you're really excited to know about that, just fast forward, but otherwise, stick with me. I think it will be fun. Now, before I get started, I did have to take a moment to thank you so much. Whether you subscribed back when we had 1,000 subscribers or less, or you are a more recent subscriber, thank you so much for your likes, for your comments, for your shares, for your recommendations of my channel. It really means the world to myself, to my husband Frank, to my son Ethan, and our entire family. We have been cruising since 2004, and I can honestly tell you that what I am doing now is a dream come true. Okay, so let's get into those questions. I have chosen 20 questions for 200,000 subscribers. And honestly, there are a couple of questions that are a little bit controversial, at least in the cruising world, but I will be answering them honestly. Number one, do I do any traveling other than cruising? So yes, I do, but honestly, not really too much. And basically what I do is I like land travel, but I like to plan my land travel when it is attached to a cruise. So as an example, if I am going on a Caribbean cruise and I'm leaving at Florida, I will usually spend a few days, if not even a week or two in Florida. I actually really love spending time in South Florida, so that's something that I do pretty often. But even when we went on our Alaska cruise, we spent 3 days in Vancouver. When we do a Mediterranean cruise, we like to spend time in a port as well. But do I travel to Las Vegas or somewhere else where I cannot cruise? Not really, partially because it's my business, but the other part of it is that I really love cruising as a form of travel. Number two, when it comes to Alaska cruises, is it best to do an inside passage or should you do a north or a southbound itinerary? Now, I do think if it is your first Alaska cruise, that an inside passage cruise just does make a lot of sense. It's round trip to the same embarkation and debarkation port, so it is a little bit easier. However, if you plan any land travel that is attached to your Alaska cruise, then I think going north or south does make a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to that Vancouver port, I get a lot of questions about this. Yes, it is a little bit hectic. It will take longer to get on the cruise ship than some of the other ports that you might be used to. But I don't think it's a reason to avoid a cruise leaving out of Vancouver. I think Vancouver is an absolutely beautiful city. It's worthy of visiting even on its own. And I definitely would take a cruise out of Vancouver, spend a couple of days there. I don't think you'll regret it. But do get that early embarkation time and pack your patience. Number three, what tips do I have for people that are cruising on a shoestring budget? Well, you definitely can cruise on a budget, and I think especially now a lot of people are thinking about how can they cruise for less. Now, this is probably going to become a video all its own, but I will share a tip that I think is maybe overlooked by a lot of people. It is to go for the cruise line that you want to travel with most, but to look at an older cruise ship. Unless you need all of the bells and whistles that you'll find on some newer cruise ships, older cruise ships are going to be a better value. Oftentimes you can get longer itineraries and you can cruise for less. Number four, should you cruise with the same cruise line, and are the loyalty perks worth it? Well, I think the good reason to cruise with the same cruise line is the fact that you like that cruise line. But the loyalty perks, I don't think that there's tremendous value in them until you do get to those higher levels. Now, it might just be me, but honestly, if a cruise line has free laundry services as a perk, honestly, that wins me over. Now, the secondary question a lot of people had is there status matching between different cruise lines, even that are under the umbrella of the same brand? Now, Celebrity and Royal Caribbean do have this. I believe it's after 5 cruises with one or the other brand. So do check into that. But definitely if you are a frequent Royal Caribbean cruiser, when you do take a Celebrity cruise, you can move into their loyalty program. So do check that out. Now, in terms of status matching, check out MSC Cruises, that does have a status match program, and at different times Virgin Voyages has had it as well. What was my least favorite cabin? Now, truthfully, my least favorite cabin, and I was on this cruise ship twice, was on the Oasis of the Seas. I really do love the cruise ship, but the cabins, the storage is just abysmal. Basically, next to the bed, you have these little teeny night tables with these teeny oval shaped shelves, just really not very practical. And in the bathroom, you have a ledge sort of sink rather than a true counter. And really, I just found the storage was really not great. Otherwise, the ship is terrific, so still go on that ship, but I just don't like the cabins. However, what was my favorite cruise ship cabin? I have to say it was the sunset veranda on the Celebrity Summit. We booked a balcony guarantee and we luckily got the family sunset veranda. Oh my goodness, I absolutely loved the view of this cabin. I would definitely do a sunset veranda again. How many cruises have we been on, and what was our first cruise? Well, our first cruise was on Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas. At that time, that ship class was the biggest cruise ship in the world, if you can imagine. I think it was 138,000 tons. Now, we have done 32 cruises, and we have cruised on Royal Caribbean, on Princess, on Celebrity, on Norwegian Cruise Line, on Carnival, on Holland America, and on Virgin Voyages. And by the way, we do have an MSC cruise coming up. Which brings me to my next question. Have I ever cruised with Disney, or would I consider it? I get asked this actually quite frequently, so I know there are a lot of Disney cruise fans, but being honest, we have never cruised with Disney. When we started cruising back when our children were younger, we really did cruise mostly with Royal Caribbean, and then we moved on to Princess and some other cruise lines, and part of that was due to the ages of our children. Also, the cost of Disney really was quite expensive. And at this stage in our lives, I can't say that I'm super tempted to cruise with Disney. So it probably is a cruise line that I won't rush. Now, I might have a misperception here, so do correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like as an adult that if you go on Disney cruises, you have to really like Disney. And I don't dislike Disney. I think Disney World is absolutely amazing, but I don't know if I want to spend a few days or a week or more on a Disney character cruise. So of course, if my perceptions are wrong, please do let me know down in the comments below. But at this point, I have no plans to cruise with Disney. What is a cruise that's on my bucket list, and is there a cruise that I wouldn't do? So a bucket list cruise for me, I think at this stage, is going on a river cruise. That would fill our need to sightsee a little bit and even get a little bit of land in with our cruising experience. So I think that that would be a lot of fun. Now, a cruise that I'm not really tempted by, and I know it's getting a lot of publicity lately, so I get asked about it quite a lot, but it is expedition cruising to Antarctica. Now, I am not super adventurous, so I have to say, it looks like this Antarctica expedition cruise is a lot of work, so I just don't know that I'm cut out for it. Okay, let's talk about Carnival for a minute. I have two Carnival questions. Firstly, what made you decide to do a Carnival cruise after so many years? Well, in good part, to be honest, that is because what I do now is I am a cruise content creator. So I create blogs and articles about cruising. That includes Carnival. And I also, of course, do create videos. And to be honest, a question that I get asked quite a lot is, what is the best cruise line for me? And since it had been several years since I cruised with Carnival, I really did feel like I had to revisit cruising on Carnival to get a realistic perspective of what cruising with Carnival is like right now. Now, I know Carnival Venezia does not represent all Carnival cruises, but I did think that it would be a fun one to try. Is Carnival really coming out with a nude cruise ship? No, they are not coming out with a nude cruise ship. You probably have seen some recent videos about this or recent cruise news. And basically what Carnival is doing is what a lot of cruise lines do, and they're basically hosting a theme cruise. And yes, other cruise lines have done this before as well. So it is one sailing, probably happening one time during the year, and probably I'm thinking that you can't even purchase it directly through Carnival. It's likely sold directly through the company that is chartering the ship. Now, this could be a potentially controversial question. Which cruise line has the best pizza? Now, I personally am a very big cruise ship pizza fan. In my opinion, just based on the cruises that I have done, there are two cruise lines that I love their pizza. One of them is Princess. I absolutely love the pizza on the pool deck on Princess, and I love Alfredo's as well. And the other one is Virgin Voyages. I just thought they had phenomenal pizza. Well worth trying. Now, if you agree or you disagree, please do let me know down in the comments below which cruise line has the very best pizza. Now, I have a couple of really practical questions. How do you communicate with other people on a cruise ship, and is it necessary to have a cell phone? So firstly, it is not necessary to have a cell phone when you are cruising. However, I have to be honest, I do think that nowadays having a cell phone when you travel and when you cruise is something really practical. So whether you take phones on your cell phone or you communicate with other people through the cruise line app or through texting, through checking on your emails, I do think that that's something that probably really has changed over the last few years, and it is something worth considering. Now, can you bring walkie-talkies on cruises? There is a cruise line, I think it's Norwegian Cruise Line, that has recently said that they are now on a prohibited list. It really isn't something that I've seen on cruise ships for years, so I don't suggest that you bring walkie-talkies. Can you cruise if you're in a wheelchair, a scooter, or you have mobility issues? So yes, you absolutely can. Now, I have to say, this is not my area of expertise. However, you can rent wheelchairs and scooters when you go on a cruise. You should let the cruise line know that you do have some mobility issues. If you need an accessible cabin, you should try to book early and have a travel agent maybe help you with this. They would be much more knowledgeable than me about this, but these are all things that you can do. Now, when it comes to your shore excursions, something that you'll want to do is research your shore excursions. The cruise lines usually will have shore excursions that will show if they are accessible for people in wheelchairs and any restrictions that there might be. And something to keep in mind is when cruise lines do go to certain ports, sometimes there are some ports that are just more accessible than others. Something that I noticed, which was really great, it was on a Canada-New England itinerary, was when we did go to Peggy's Cove, they had actually built an entire platform and a walkway that now made Peggy's Cove much more accessible to those with any mobility issues. What is my favorite Caribbean cruise port? Now, this is obviously something that is subject to change, but I have to say, one of the most beautiful cruise ports that I've ever visited in the Caribbean was St. Lucia. I absolutely loved St. Lucia. Now, I also really do enjoy every time I go to St. Martin. I really enjoy it there, and I love Curacao as well. Now, I have a couple of cruise content creator / personal questions, and then I have our upcoming cruise reveal. So firstly, do we ever get tired of cruising? Do my boys ever get tired of cruising? No, nobody gets tired of cruising. We definitely do have to manage our time, which is a reality, but we do not get tired of cruising. Okay, this question's a little bit serious. Do mean comments that are sometimes left under my videos, do they ever bother or upset me? Now, I have to be honest here. On the most part, they really don't. Something that I really became aware of when I first started my YouTube channel, and even before that, when I started my blog a little bit more than 5 years ago, is that if I'm going to put myself out there on the internet, I am going to receive some feedback. And it's unrealistic to think that that feedback is all going to be positive. Now, do comments sometimes catch me off guard, as I did have in a recent video where I shared that with you? Absolutely. And do I really disagree with some comments that are left? Also, absolutely. But honestly, on the most part, I get so many positive comments, and I really do try to hold on to that. I even have that as a little bit of my life philosophy. I just think that there's a lot more good out there than bad. And I try to remember as well that if somebody leaves a really mean or nasty comment, it says more about them than it does about me. How many hours do we spend per week recording and editing videos? And now I have to say something that I probably didn't realize before I started to do this is it takes a lot of time to create a 10-minute video. So in my case, I usually spend anywhere from 1 to 5 hours researching a video, depending on what the video is about. After that, filming takes anywhere from 1 to maybe 2 hours. My husband spends usually between 5 on the very, very low end to maybe 14 hours editing a video. If it is something that includes a lot of B-roll, so if we're doing a video about a cruise, a bit of a cruise review that's a little bit longer, that definitely can extend into many more hours. Now, something that might be surprising is that we actually spend between 1 and usually about 3 hours working on the video title and the thumbnail, because I really do want to have a video that people are enticed to click into and watch. What is our next cruise and when are we going back to the Mediterranean? So I'm so excited to be sharing with you our upcoming cruise. So we are going to be sailing on Enchanted Princess, and yes, it is a 7-day Mediterranean cruise. Now, one of the things that I really love about this cruise is the fact that the cruise starts in Barcelona and it ends in Rome. So it really does give us a chance to visit 2 different port cities and really extend that vacation and travel experience. Now, our ports are Gibraltar, Marseille, Spezia, and Livorno, which will get us to Florence. I cannot wait. I've been to Florence before, but I cannot wait to spend another day there. Now, we were invited by Princess on a hosted press trip. I cannot wait to share with you the Enchanted Princess, as well as there's a food and beverage aspect to this press trip. So I cannot wait to share with you all of the Princess dining. You know that I absolutely love cruise food, and we love cruising with Princess as well. Now, as always, all of my thoughts and opinions are my own, but in the interest of being transparent, I always do like to let you know. Now, we actually took our first cruise with Princess back in 2007. We cruised with Princess first as a couple, then with our own children as a family, and we even did a multi-generational family trip to celebrate my parents' 50th anniversary. Now, please let me know any questions that you have about Princess, about the Enchanted Princess, about any of the Mediterranean cruise ports, or even about cruising in the Mediterranean in general. Please let me know down in the comments below so that I can cover that in a future video. Once again, big thank yous for helping my channel to grow. I truly do appreciate you. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? I'd love to have you here within the Lifewell Cruise community. Bye for now, and happy cruising.